All right, welcome back everybody for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better place for all of us by helping us lock up some bad guys. I'm your host, Chris Wright, along with Calhoun County Sheriff Matthew Wade. Sheriff, we ate well over the last few days, didn't we?
Man, Thanksgiving coming went too quick. I tell you what, Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. All the great food, and there's nothing like your mother's cooking. So if your father's still around, your grandparents, that's something to cherish. So.
Well, that's good. That food was great, but the turkey that I had, courtesy of you guys, was excellent as well.
I like to say we fried, they fried. We have the turkey fry. This is our 13th annual turkey fry. There you go. And you can see the number of people. So if I said I fried them, I'd be doing all of these volunteers a disservice. They fried, they cooked, they come out and do it. And it's just a great time, had by all. We all ate as an agency together. Everybody brought a dish, and people come out. I don't know how many people we had to eat, but it was a bunch of folks. And they weren't told to come. They weren't made to come. They came because they wanted to, and that's what it was about, being thankful. But that right there is a good-looking bird.
Yeah, it is. But, so many different volunteers doing different jobs, everything
there's
from
my mother
and
my aunt, both of them come to help. So, it's a family event. So.
Yeah. So a lot of folks had turkeys. I know I saw a lot of comments on Facebook from people that were very, very happy like I was.
And those comments, believe it or not, those small gestures probably mean more than anything in the world. When you see somebody had it and they enjoyed it, that just brings a special place to my heart to know that we did something for somebody and that they really enjoyed. So.
And then, of course, there's the Alabama Baptist Children's Home that received all the donations.
Yeah, Alabama Baptist Children's Home, we're still working on the final count. Hopefully it'll be around $4,000 that we give them to help them with their foster children, get some Christmas. Anytime you can give an organization that has kids $4,000 at Christmas time, hopefully that's be a blessing as well.
All right, well, let's talk about crime fighting. Let's see who we'd get this week.
4 arrests this week brings our count up to 4,071 people put in jail, all because somebody was willing to get involved, and we truly appreciate that. We are a team. Us and the community is just, we work together, and that's how it should be. So.
All right, well, we've got another list this week, and we'll get started on that list when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up again this week, Remington Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Birmingham. He's wanted for murder, that double murder here in Calhoun County. We need information on him. If anybody knows anything, please let us know. Call us. We'd like you to meet Keith Dover. Mr. Dover, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to pay on theft of property third. And take a look at Amber Warren. Miss Warren, last known to be living in Anniston. Wanted for failure to pay on receiving stolen property first. And this is Rita Poles. Miss Poles, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to appear on interfering with domestic violence emergency. And meet Robert Coggins. Mr. Coggins, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up for our first half, William Decker. Mr. Decker, last known to be living in Alexandria. He's wanted for bond revocation on possession of a controlled substance ×2. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, more bad guys in just a few minutes, but Sheriff, we want to talk about some folks doing some good things as well, don't we?
Always want to talk about people doing good things.
All right, now, obviously not a good thing.
No, but we do have an epidemic of it, and anytime you have some people that want to try to fix that or help people, well, that's what we need in this world.
That's Danny LaPlante and Kathleen from Bradford Health Services joining us now. And you came on this time last year, Danny, because this is a very, very important. We've got a lot of people watching this show and folks that aren't watching the show as well that they struggle this time of the year. At some point in their life, they became addicted to something that has taken control of their life, and maybe they've gotten control of their life back, but this time of the year, it's tough, isn't it?
It's very tough. The holidays are a party time, typically, for a lot of folks. So they're going to be going, man, maybe I shouldn't be going to this party or this family function because of the alcohol, or maybe I want to use or something like that. So what we want to do is give everybody just some tips on how to stay sober and maintain during the holidays.
Let's start, before we get to the folks that are having that personal, let's talk about the people who are planning the get-togethers and such. Because Kathleen, that's very important too, isn't it? When you're planning, we all think, oh yeah, we can handle this responsibly. Are we doing some things that exclude some of our friends and family or put them in a bad position?
Right, right. So it is so important to be aware of that. I mean, sometimes you might not be aware that someone's in recovery, and so you wouldn't know what to do, but it would be important to maybe have an alternative or something where those people would also be comfortable, whether you knew or not. But if you do know, if it's a family member that you know is struggling with addiction, is in recovery, what are some things that you can do to make that a holiday where they can be a part of it as well? So those are some things that we really want to be able to talk about today, strategies that family members or friends can do if they know someone's in recovery. So either having a space that's a safe place in their home or at the event, or even considering the possibility of, during that time, supporting their family member or friend by having it be a sober event.
Right. And we definitely want our friends who are dealing with these issues to be at these events because they need that support structure. And Sheriff, you know that. Folks that have support structure around them are so much more successful than folks that don't.
Absolutely. And that's people recover. Just life in general. We all, we're put on this earth to have relationships. We're here to have those, and when you don't have it, when you don't have that encouragement, when you don't have somebody that's checking on you, going, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need something?" Whether you're in recovery or not, that's just a mainstay that we all got to have, and it's just twice as important when you are battling an addiction. My addiction's food, so I can't say I understand what somebody's like to be addicted, but if it's anything like me trying to eat less, I got a little bit of a handle on that, because somebody said, well, just eat less, you won't weigh as much. I go, yeah.
Right. Well, Danny and I were talking a little bit earlier about the fact that, if you have a family member that has diabetes, because we at Bradford Health Services about addiction being a disease. And so if you have someone that has diabetes, you're going to probably modify some things. You're probably going to have some, desserts that are made with something that that person can eat and be safe eating it, right? So we talked about it's important to be mindful and aware as a family member or friend, as we said, how can I support? Reaching out to someone and making sure they come and letting them know maybe, hey, I just want you to know that we're going to have a sober event. We really want you to be here. That's how important you are to us. Because I think that's the other piece that really does happen around the holidays. It's difficult for everyone, whether, as you said, whether they have an addiction or not. But for people that are struggling with addiction, they very often feel very isolated, and they're dealing with a lot of other things. And so to be a part of something, to be a part of a family or friends, a group of friends that understands, is just so important.
Sometimes there's a little bit of pushback from folks in the family or group too, isn't there? Well, I don't understand why we can't do this. It's always about Danny, or it's always about Josh, or whoever the person that got the addiction. They think we have to change everything for this one person.
Right. And what I would say then to those that individual is say, find one person you can buddy up with that knows what your struggle is, and so then they don't have to change the whole event. If this is a family tradition and how they have it, or a friend tradition, so they don't feel that this is happening because of that one person. Because very often when there are addictions in a family, a lot revolves around that person. So it might feel that way to other members, but have someone that's a safe, sober person that you can buddy up with. So if you need to get out, have that get out plan, you have it, and you have support of someone else where you can just say code word or whatever, let's leave, All
right, in a minute, we're going to talk about some of these strategies that you were talking about, Danny. But first, let's establish something here, because a lot of us don't necessarily see the addiction issues in our society. We go day to day and we don't notice things and maybe realize how bad it is. What is the situation like today in 2017 in East Alabama?
Oh my goodness. You can throw a rock and hit someone that does not hit someone that doesn't have the disease of addiction. We're surrounded by it. No socioeconomic boundaries. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere. And you don't know that someone's in recovery. And it's just, we're constantly trying to get new ways to treat people because of there's so many new drugs out there. It's as you know, Sheriff.
Just in the last month, I've come across 3 men that are in retirement age that they said, hey, you know, my child died last year, or this year my child died. And I go, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And we know they had a problem. Heroin is killing our youth at an alarming rate state in our country here in Calhoun County. You might have read the paper. Gaston thinks they got the first case of Flocka. I think it's true because this weekend we arrested a woman who admitted I was on Flocka. So she self-admitted I was taking Flocka. She stole a car. She was in a grocery store eating and, you know, paying for things. And she didn't remember I was taking Flocka. So, you know, this is a drug that makes your skin just fall off your body. Why people take that, I don't know, but we got to find a way to fix it.
So it's real. We're going to talk about some strategies that can help folks here during the holidays. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. We'll have the second half of this week's Alliance and some very important strategies to help you get through the holidays with an addiction coming up next on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome back to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Donald Mask. Mr. Mask, last known to be living in Mumford. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana. Second, child support and non-payment of child support. The face of a deadbeat dad. And meet Charmaine Davis. Miss Davis, last known to be living in Ohatchee. She's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property. Fourth, and possession of a forged instrument. Third. And this is Daniel Adams. Mr. Adams, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for failure to pay on criminal mischief. Second. And take a look at Matthew Davis. Mr. Davis, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana. Second, criminal trespass. Third, and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And we'd like you to meet Earl Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up in our lineup this week, Carlos Kelly. Mr. Kelly, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on a probation violation for child support and burglary. Third, we end with the face of a deadbeat dad. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you know the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414.
All right, we'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show coming up here in just a little bit, and certainly around the holidays, don't they, Sheriff?
They do. You have to hide it, keep it locked, and definitely record your information. So.
All right, so Danny and Kathleen are with us from Bradford Health Services. We're talking about addiction and the holidays, and it's a tough time of the year for someone who is battling an addiction, or maybe they've spent most of the battle before, but you never quite are past it. So what are some tips that they can use to get through the holidays without a relapse?
First thing, do not skip meetings. And when I say meetings, I mean 12-step meetings. Like I've said before, there's 2 times to go to a meeting, and that's when you don't want to, and that's when you want to.
Yeah.
A lot of people might book into a meeting. They might go to a meeting before and go to an event, go to a meeting afterwards. Have a list of, I've read where it says take one person you can call. Everybody's busy during the holidays. Have a list of 10 people you can call if you need to get out of there. Okay? You go to an event, keep a Diet Coke or something in your hand. And that way, if you've got a glass in your hand, nobody will say, well, most people won't say, hey, let me fill that. No, I'm good. I'm good. And the other thing is, you don't have to really explain yourself. You don't. You just choose not to drink that day. And as family members, if they don't know you're in recovery and you don't feel comfortable saying that, then as a family member or a friend, let's not poke and prod and just say, okay, well, they choose not to drink or they choose not to use. You know, they're not using in the bathroom, they're not coming out looking glassy-eyed or anything like that. So we're going, hey, that's a good thing, but we're going to let it go.
Yeah, it's difficult for everybody around the holidays. You feel like you're walking ice sometimes, but it's important to have that time with your family, and those bonds do matter.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing we have to look at is people don't have family. or maybe the family's been pushed away so much that you know, because of not, it's always don't hate the person, hate the disease. Okay. For whatever reason, people may not have family, but know that there are sober activities. There are so many AA groups, NA groups, recovery, especially this time of year. They understand, and so there's going to be tons of sober activities, tons of them.
Lots of things that you just got to get out there and be a part of one of those groups and work it. Don't just go once or twice, but
gotta
stay
work it.
involved and work it.
And one of the things we talk a lot about is holidays are all traditions, right? You know that, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever your holiday is that you celebrate, is so how to develop new traditions. You know, you don't have to do those. Finding new things that you could do that are sober activities, getting connected in new ways, doing new things with your family that you wouldn't have done maybe when you were using.
And I think that's a very important point there, because as you know, dealing with addictions, you don't just give something up.
Right.
You've got to replace it with something, really. That's the way humans work. If we're going to stop something, we're going to start something. Almost. So a new tradition is a great way to get past that old tradition.
Right, because very often it all revolved around that addiction piece. So filling that void and finding something to put in there is so important that's healthy.
And there are a lot of good, healthy events going on around here. Where can people find out more about those?
Well, you can always look at social media, always a great thing. You can look on Facebook. They're going to have a lot of sober activities. You can call our office. We can let you know where sober activities are. If you're a member of a 12-step group, you can go on the internet and they will tell you where a meeting is with very close proximity to you, and they're going to have something going constantly.
All right, so holidays are here.
Yes, they are.
Most of us love it. Some people not so much, but either way, it's here. Be prepared to deal with it and have it the best it can be, right?
And know that there's someone there for you 24/7. Okay, we don't close. We're there for you. And you know, actually, a lot of times our call volume goes up on Christmas Day.
And somebody will be there to take that call.
Absolutely.
Bradford Health Services. Danny, Kathleen, thank you very much for being here, and I hope you have a great holiday.
Thank you. Y'all
Thank
too.
you. Thank you very much.
All right, Sheriff and I will be back in a few moments. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show. We have two cases for you this week. The first one between November 14th and November 15th. An air machine was stolen from the Samco station on Highway 431 in Alexandria. And your last case on November 18th between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Someone burglarized this home located on McIntosh Road in Oxford. If you have any information on these cases, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Our crazy criminal this week, Sheriff, a youthful offender, 8 years old.
Uh-oh.
8 years old,
8
already
years
got a
old.
rap sheet.
Already got a rap sheet. I got to hear it, man. I got to hear it.
A young lady in Indiana stole her mother's car
Oh, at
and
8.
led police in a, not a very high-speed chase, but 40 miles an hour.
She get away or she get caught?
Oh, she got caught. She wouldn't stop until they surrounded her. They boxed her in, and then she did actually make contact and cause some slight damage to one of the police cruisers. And then she refused to get out of the vehicle. That doesn't, if you refuse to get out of the vehicle, that doesn't work out too well for you, does
It doesn't, but you know, when you're 8 years old, you know, I'd like to know if she's driven before. You know, I mean, that's kind of an odd thing, but you know, growing up, you know, how many times, I sat in my father's lap and drove a car when I was 6, 8 years old, and so, did we ever find out why she stole the car?
I guess she didn't want to be where her mother had taken her. I don't know. But she and the mother are both facing charges.
Wow.
And then she's going to be facing some additional charges when her mother gets done with her issues.
Well, that's sad. That's sad. 8 years old and already on a high speed, or at least a chase anyway.
Hopefully she's got time to get her life turned around, and since she is a minor, the name's not in the story.
Oh
so
yeah.
Folks in the neighborhood know who she is, though, I guarantee you.
They lock their doors at night. You know, don't leave the keys in the car, lock the doors. Let's go.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for this week. We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.